What's going on, everybody? Theo Gremminger here, and I'm stoked for the NFL Combine. I love it every year. I know we're not supposed to get too hyped, but I get hyped. Friday night, we get the tight ends, but for us in fantasy football, there's absolutely nothing better than what Saturday is lining up to be. We don't have to worry about spreading it out throughout the week. We get the quarterbacks, the running backs, and the wide receivers all testing on the exact same day. Now, there's a lot of players who are pretty much entrenched in values. You know, guys like Caleb Williams, guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. There's guys sitting out and not participating in the combine this year. But there's other guys who, like every year, are going to stand to gain a lot, not only with NFL teams, but also with us in fantasy with our valuable rookie draft picks. Here are 5 players that I've got my eye on this weekend at the NFL Combine that could potentially put on a show. The player I'm probably most interested in the entire Combine is a guy that I know is going to get very high draft capital, but I still expect him to put on a show, and that's Rome Odunze. And unlike Marvin Harrison Jr., who's just not at the Combine, not answering questions, not really doing anything, Marvin Harrison Jr. is locked in. He's doing his own thing. Malik Neighbors is answering questions, but he's not going to test. Rome Odunze is going to test. He's going to run. He's going to work out. Expect a full scale workout from Rome Odunze, and I don't think he's really going to opt out of pretty much of anything. A lot of these wide receivers opt out of the bench press, but besides that, I think Odunze is going to participate. And this is a guy that I think when it's all said and done, by the end of the weekend, he's a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. He's that good. And I think one thing that kind of goes unnoticed with Odunze, or not necessarily unnoticed, but more of something that people don't really discuss, is he has the speed. Right now, he's around 10th overall in the odds to have the fastest 40 in the entire combine. I don't think he'll hit that, but this is a guy who had a track background. He won the Nevada State 200-meter dash when he was a high school senior. So he's got a big-time track and field background and receipts to prove it. Size-wise, expect him to be over 6'1", probably measures in 6'2"-ish, and he's going to be over 200 pounds. So you're talking about a guy who's kind of ideal size, ideal speed, and the production was ridiculous at Washington. This is a guy who had more points per game fantasy-wise at the wide receiver position than anyone in college football last year, as Washington had a dream run to the national title game. Odunze is for real. Just because he's wide receiver 3 in this class does not mean that he's not a special prospect. I think the NFL teams are going to show you that, and you should be targeting him for your fantasy teams as well. He's going to crush it at the Combine. I'm going to stay in the former Pac-12, now Big Ten schools, and the next player that I'm really, really excited to watch on Saturday is Troy Franklin. And anybody who's watched any of my videos knows that how much I love Troy Franklin. This is a guy that I have very high up in my dynasty rankings, my rookie rankings, and my wide receiver rankings. I think Troy Franklin is the real deal. We know he's going to be skinny. This is a Jordan Addison, Devonta Smith, Tank Dell situation. He is a slim player, but he has the height, he has the explosiveness, and boy, does he have the speed. And the sports books are telling us that Troy Franklin is going to absolutely fly. There's reports he's going to be like a 4.35 guy, maybe a little bit faster. I think he's going to definitely run in those 4.3s, and that's going to mean a lot for him because with his weight, he needs to run a blazing fast 40. We saw Jordan Addison last year run about the 4.4 range, so I think Troy Franklin beating him this year, getting in that 4.35 range, would be really big for him. 17th overall to Jacksonville. I think that's going to be in play for Troy Franklin. A lot of people are talking about those sweet spots. Buffalo, Kansas City, back end of the first round. Baltimore also in the back end of the first round. I think it would be hard for them to pass up on Franklin. But I'm looking at Jacksonville at 17, Pittsburgh at 20. Troy Franklin just needs to run that blazing fast 40. Show the speed that we see on film. This is a guy who had more touchdown catches than any wide receiver in Oregon history. 81 receptions, over 1,300 receiving yards last year, 14 touchdown catches. Troy Franklin is the real deal. I think he's going to put on a show in Indianapolis this weekend. The next player that I got my eye on, and the only quarterback, is JJ McCarthy. And JJ McCarthy is blowing up right now. The interest with him from NFL teams seems to be circling. A lot of these teams in the 8 through 15 range will have their eye on McCarthy. I fully believe he's going to be QB4 in this class. I don't buy into some of these, he's going to leap Drake May, he's going to leap Jaden Daniels arguments. I don't see that. But I do think that this class can support a fourth quarterback. And if he lands in this sort of draft capital, it's huge for our dynasty teams because it increases the tier breaks in superflex drafts. It makes all of these picks more valuable. The 107 becomes more valuable. The 108 becomes more valuable. And then the 109 is going to be your pick of the Troy Franklin, Brian Thomas types. So we need JJ McCarthy to get this exceptional NFL draft capital. He could be on a Jordan Love-like path where a team drafts him with the idea that he's going to sit for a year, or some teams might view him as a guy that can come in the second half of the year. I do think, unlike Daniels, May, and Williams, I would bet against JJ McCarthy starting on day one for an NFL team. I think that's a little bit unrealistic. He is a 20-year-old quarterback. This is a player that needs a little bit more. But at the end of the day, he has the physical tools and the arm strength that NFL teams are not going to be able to pass him by. There are rumors he's going to run the 40 in the 4.6 range. And when you watch him on film, he can certainly looks like a guy who's going to be able to make all of the throws. And I get that. I'm guessing that's going to translate this weekend at the Combine. Talking about his draft capital, I think that despite the Justin Fields rumors right now, 8 overall to Atlanta will be in play. The ideal spot would probably be Minnesota at 11 overall with all the skill position talent they have there and the strong offensive line. And then that stopgap where it's going to be Denver, Las Vegas, New Orleans, and Seattle. That little range in the draft, I think if JJ McCarthy lands in there, it's going to be great for us as dynasty managers, and it's going to say that the NFL teams believe in him as a talent. He's got to have a solid weekend in Indianapolis, and I expect that he will. Now, pivoting over to the running back position, I have 2 running backs I want to talk about, and I'm excited about both of them. Number one, in terms of who can gain the most this weekend, Jalen Wright. And Jalen Wright rushed for over 1,000 yards at Tennessee. Wright is 20 years old. Size-wise, he's going to weigh in 210, 215 pounds, should be about 6 feet tall. So he's got the ideal size. He gave you the SEC rushing production that we like to see. But what Jalen Wright possesses is incredible athleticism. He hit apparently a 23.6 miles per hour number in a Tennessee workout. He also clocked over 22 miles per hour on an 80-plus touchdown run against the Georgia Bulldogs last year. This is a player who, when he was a track and field player in high school, he had a 10.85 100-meter dash. And 40-yard dash numbers from him could be absolutely insane. He is by far the top running back in terms of the Vegas odds to run the fastest 40-yard dash at the Combine. Really the only running back that, besides Bucky Irving, who's way down the list, and Bucky Irving is a smaller back, 190 pounds, but Jalen Wright is only 11-1 to have the fastest 40-yard dash time of any player at the Combine, including all the defensive backs, all the wide receivers. He's going to run a blazing time. There are some reports, which I don't believe, that he's going to be like a 4.28 guy. I don't see that. But I think anything in the low 4.3s would be insane for a running back of his size and would propel him up not only in NFL draft capital, but would be like a guy we really need to circle for our dynasty rosters as well. He had a number of big plays last year, touchdowns over 40 yards for the Tennessee Volunteers. This is also a player that apparently has an outstanding vertical leap. So he truly could be a workout warrior. Jalen Wright is definitely one to watch. And the last player that I have to talk about, and I got to talk about him all the time, is my guy, Braylon Allen. I think Braylon Allen is going to put on a show at the Combine. And you have to remember, all of the metrics for Braylon Allen are going to be different than the other running backs because Braylon Allen is going to weigh in at over 240 pounds. And when you say 240, he's a different kind of 240. There's pictures out there for Braylon Allen. This is not a soft 240. Braylon Allen, reports were last year that he's an 8% body fat guy, and I wouldn't doubt it. There are rumors out there that he's going to put on a show in the 10-yard shuttle where he's going to challenge like Jonathan Taylor numbers in the 10-yard shuttle and the 40-yard dash. All he's got to do at 240 is run sub 4.6, and he is a standout. Leonard Fournette weighed in at over 240 pounds at the Combine, and Leonard Fournette ran a 4.51. If Braylon Allen can do something like that, that is outstanding. But Derrick Henry, A.J. Dillon, these big backs that run well at the Combine, and all the speed-adjusted for weight scores out there, essentially his speed score will be reflected with his size. It's going to be outstanding. And Braylon Allen gave us incredible production in college. There are certain people fading him as a prospect. I don't really understand it. He's 19 years old. He had nearly 3,500 rushing yards and 35 touchdown runs at Wisconsin. This is a guy who was extremely productive from an early age. He was out on the field in the Big Ten at 17 years old. He will be a 20-year-old rookie this year in the NFL. I think that this is going to be nothing but positives for Braylon Allen this weekend at the NFL Draft Combine. Those are the players that I'm looking for at the Combine. Who are the ones that you're excited about? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about this video. And stick with us here at Player Profiler. We've got you covered all throughout the NFL draft process, all throughout NFL free agency with videos like this, and also our network of podcasts. I'm Theo Gremminger. Stick with us here and enjoy the NFL.